Welcome back. On behalf of GLS, we are coming out with another special series which is going to help you in your exams. This series, the first session we are going to cover factoring and forfeiting. Let's start with factoring first. What is factoring? It's a continuous arrangement in which receivables created out of sale of goods or services are sold to an agency known as factor. This arrangement is called factoring. Now what factoring is basically a service that is concerned with the financing and collection of account receivables in domestic as well as international markets. Now let's look at what are the types of factoring. First and foremost, recourse factoring, that is with recourse. So in the case of non-payment of invoices by customers, the factor will recover the amount advanced from the client. Non-resource factoring, that is without recourse, in this case the factor provides both finance and credit protection. So in case of non-payment of invoices by customers, the factor will bear the risk of bad debts. Let's look at the process as far as the factoring is concerned. So as usual, we have a company which provides goods to the debtor. So that debtor becomes basically a creditor, and in that respect, the debtor, in this context, the company makes the assignment of receivables with the factor and this payment at a discount price. So once the goods are sold, the factor actually pays the amount after the expiry of the credit period, and this is how the entire process gets completed. Domestic factoring. Now as far as domestic factoring is concerned, the receivables arising only out of domestic trade is considered for factoring. The supplier or borrower shall draw bills of exchange for goods supplied and the purchaser shall accept that. The maximum date period normally permitted under factoring is 150 days, inclusive of maximum grace period of 60 days. So the MIS, that is Management Information System, are given to the seller by the factor, and the factoring charges generally include finance charges, service charges for collection. Let's look at international factoring. There are usually two factors, that is export factor and import factor. The export factor looks at financing the exporter and sales administration, that is presenting invoices at the right time and collecting payments being the key task. The import factor is interested in evaluating the buyer, collecting the money on time and at the same time ensuring that he is protected against default. International factoring encompasses all the four services, that is prepayment, sales ledger administration, credit protection and collections. Advantages of factoring. Factoring replaces high cost market credit and enables purchases on cash basis for availing cash discounts. The customer gets instant finance against each invoice. Low margin, say up to 20%, thereby improving the cash flow. The customer gets large credit and grace period. Each invoice is followed up for payment by the factor on the due date and thereafter. MIS reports and sales ledger administration is totally taken care of by the factor. Factoring accelerates receivables turnover and improves operating cycle, resulting in more production, large scales, higher profits and increased return on investment. Forfeiting. When an exporter transfers his right to receive payment in favor of the forfeiter, the transaction is called forfeiting. Thus, forfeiting is a method of discounting of international trade receivables on without recourse basis. Forfeiting is used for international trade transactions. It is the discounting of trade receivables such as drafts drawn under letters of credit, bills of exchange, promissory notes or other freely negotiable instruments on the no recourse basis. The process, as we look here now, there is importer, there is exporter, forfeiter and availing bank. So the availing bank in this case is a receivables are sent for availing guarantee, and then guaranteeing receivables returned to the importer. Then the guaranteed receivables sent to the exporter. Guaranteed receivables sold to forfeiter at discount on non-recourse basis. So, and the exporter receives the finance. So this is how the entire process gets completed, and of course the amount is paid by the availing bank to the forfeiter on maturity. Again, this process is completed, the amount paid by availing bank to the forfeiter on maturity. So options available to forfeiter is hold till the receivables mature, sell the group of investors, or trade in secondary market. What are the documents required? Copy of supply contract or its payment terms, letter of credit or guarantee, which is the forfeiter's preferred form of security of payment of bill or note, copy of signed commercial invoice, copy of shipping documents including certificate of receipt, railway bill, airway bill, bill of lading or equivalent documents, and finally letter of assignment and notification to the guarantor. Now what are the advantages? It provides 100% financing, so without recourse and non-occupying exporter's credit line. Improves cash flow of the exporter, saves administrative costs, increases trade opportunity, helps to realize price transfer, and finally enables the exporter to avoid various risks. So in the next session, we'll come out with MCQs on factoring and forfeiting.